bombing incident. A terrible attack launched by the will of a madman. That incident perfectly symbolized the state of the legal war in the dark age of the law. Mr. White brought it to a resolution of sorts. Ted Tonate was discovered to be the one responsible for the bombing. If only it were that simple. Somehow I can't help but think. There's a darker influence at work. One that's lurking in the shadows, waning. That's why I want to review the trial that was taking place when the bombing occurred. After all, I've got more than a few personal stakes in it.
One hour remaining until launch. Please begin your final equipment check.
Check complete. Everything's A-okay. We're ready here whenever you are.
Come in, Act 2. Come in. Do you copy?
Time for another try to begin. This one is different. Sorry to bother you, but... You're alright, Apollo? Is that making a scary face just now? Oh, hi, Juniper. Yes, I'm fine. I was just doing my course of steel exercises. Now I'm all ready to go. Yes, I'm sure you'll be just fine. Oh, I brought you a present from my garden. Is this a lotus root? That's right. My grandma says lotus root is good for your eyes. She even says that if you look through the holes, it can help you see into the future. It's for good luck. Maybe later you can cook it and... Thanks for this. I'm gonna have some right now. Oh my. Kind of tough though. Can't eat it raw. But thank you for the enthusiastic try. Oops, she didn't think me rude before. She will now. I gotta calm down. Apollo! I'm sorry I'm late. Hi, Tina. Junie? I didn't know you were coming today. Did you come to cheer Apollo on? Oh, I get it, you slight little thing, you. Tina, stop. Quit around, Athena. The trial's about to start any second. Is everything all set? Apollo. When will you ever figure it out? Figure out what? Wow, that was the longest sigh I've ever heard. This is it. It's all over for me. They're gonna find me guilty. This is our client, one Mr. Solomon Saul Starbuck. He's a very famous astronaut who happens to be an acquaintance of mine. You won't know it right now, but he's usually a very upbeat and driven person. It seems the crime this time happened to be the Cosmos Space Center. Back in high school, my best friend and I went there almost a little too much. That's when we met Mr. Starbuck. We asked about space travel and he wanted to story after story with so much passion. Back in those days, the man was 100% my hero. You sure you can't be my loyal, Apollo? Of course I'm sure. I know you, Mr. Starbuck. I know you're not the type to commit murder. Thanks, but... I was supposed to be in space right about now. He's so depressed, it almost seems like an act. The launch getting caught off must have been a huge shock. I'll probably never get the chance to go into space again. Don't say that! Don't stop believing! Besides, you just have to go into space again. Yeah. I don't think I could face Clay in the afterlife if I just run away now. Clay 10? I can't believe he was murdered. I mean, he was such a promising astronaut under your command. Yeah, he was a good guy. Always there to pick me up when I was down. No one loved life as much as him, that's for sure. He was always so full of energy, telling me, "You're fine, Mr. Starbuck." How could something like this happen to a guy like him, huh? I've seen Mr. Starbuck slow down. He's gone, I'm going to prison. I wish I could burn up like a shooting star right now. Mr. Starbuck, you'll be fine. What is it? What's with the yelling? I'll get to the bottom of this today, you'll see. In exchange, I want you to go back into space for you and Clay. Promise? Does that mean you have lots of evidence to prove my innocence? Oh. Well, about that, we didn't get to investigate the area as much as I'd like, thanks to police. I'm done for. I'm a goner. Everybody thinks I did it. Thought I was gonna soar like a comet, but I'm just gonna crash like a meteorite. No, don't say that, Mr. Starbuck! Don't cut yourself out yet! I know it's hard to lose a teammate, but I know you've got to keep going. What about you, Apollo? What about me? I was just thinking, wasn't Clay your best friend? We need to focus on the trial right now. Are you all ready to go? Apollo. The trial is about to begin. If the defense would please proceed into the courtroom. Okay, here we go. This is it. This is one trial I can't afford to lose. For Clay's sake and our clients, I will find Clay's killer. Court is now in session for the trial of Solomon Starbuck. Defense is ready, Your Honor. Excuse me, Mr. Justice. Yes, Your Honor? What happened to your eye? I'm fine. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Are you sure? I don't... I'm fine, Your Honor. The defense is ready. I'm sorry, Your Honor. He's been like this since yesterday. He keeps insisting it's just a sty. I suppose there's nothing he doesn't want to discuss. Maybe he's entering a touchy age. Very well. And the prosecution. The prosecution appears to be ready as well.
Silence!
Not yet. I'm not quite ready yet. Hmm? Ah! Ah! The prosecution is now ready. Well, it didn't take him long this time. Himself a black quill. Now then, I shall give the opening statement.
Silence!
I'll do it. You will? What an unexpected surprise! This time I can't leave it to anyone else. I see. Something is off with the two of you today. You both seem different somehow. Very well, Prosecutor Blackwell. Your opening statement, if you would. It was just yesterday. The crimes in question occurred at the Cosmos Space Center. That famous federal research facility of all things related to astrology, right? Astronomy. It's astronomy. Anyway, a rocket was set to launch from there. But at 9:28 a.m. before they could even move the rocket to the launch site. Two explosive devices were detonated, and the launch was cancelled. My word, 2 bombs! How dreadful! The defendant in today's trial is charged with both the bombing and with murder. One Mr. Solomon Starbuck, for whatever inane reason he detonated a bomb on the rocket he himself would be in. Solomon Starbuck? I recognize that name. Isn't he that famous astronaut? Correct your boldness. Mr. Starbuck was the pilot of the Hat-1 rocket 7 years ago. As you may recall, despite his interstellar trouble, his mission was a success. It's a miracle he returned alive. As you could say, he's a living legend. Oh, I remember now. He's become something of an international celebrity, right? He even turned that incident into a movie and everything. We got a real space pioneer in court today. But even heroes tumbling from their lofty heights. Returns to the subject at hand. Yes. The victim was one Mr. Clayton, a subordinate of the defendant. Indeed, a disappointed brutally stabbed to death by his mentor. Stabbed to death, you say? His death was a result of the bombing? Despite his lofty dreams, the victim was seen as an interloper by the defendant. That's why he was sent out into space, to the universe, which we mortals cannot see. I think I've heard enough. The case seems pretty clear-cut at this point. However, there's one thing I'm curious about. That metal box next to the witness stand. What purpose does it serve exactly? Since you ask so nicely, it's your coffin. Have mercy on me! I jest. It's evidence. Future's immense size, we've little choice but to lay it where it rests now. We shall get to the contents of the box in due time. I feel like I just lost 50 years of my life. Does he even have 50 years left? In a monologues, Athena. In a monologue. Enough jabbering. Bobby Fulbright's name, Injustice we trust. Detective Fulbright. Very well then. Please explain the details of this incident to the court, if you would. On it! First, take a look at this pamphlet from the Cosmos Space Center. In it, you'll find a diagram outlining the overall layout of the Space Center. Here we are. For a more detailed look at what's on the left side of the building. Take a look at this cross-section that the police have created. See the launch pad in the main building. The launch pad is a secret building, and the rounded structures is the main building, right? Ah, that was the judge's voice. Crap. You got it! The agents took place at Launchpad 1 in the main building's lounge. I'll be using this diagram during my testimony. I'll make it easier to understand. Just before the rocket was set to launch, 2 bombs went off. Boom! Boom! One on the second floor of the Space Center's main building and one in launch pad number 1. Thankfully, only 2 astronauts were in launch pad number 1 at the time. The 2 of them managed to make it back as far as the boarding lounge. But as they escaped, one of the 2 was found stabbed to death. A murder on top of a bombing. Detective, the victim was already dead by the time you arrived at the lounge, correct? Yep, thinking he'd sabotage the bombing, the defendant killed him right there in the rocket. Just look at this tragic photo. Oh my, is that a knife in the victim's chest? Yes, Your Honor, it's the knife that cruelly ended this young man's dreams. We couldn't get any prints off of it, though, because the defendant was in his spacesuit. By the way, Detective Fulbright, why are the victim's helmet and white glove absent in this photograph? We had to remove them to identify him, Your Honor. I personally removed his glove during the investigation. We had to get his fingerprints to confirm his identity after all. Yes, it would be very difficult to identify him without a face or fingerprints. Now, there's just one more thing I'd like to inquire about. What is this round thing next to the victim in this photo? Something so important to the victim, he took it with him as he escaped to the launch pad. A capsule that apparently contains asteroid samples. obviously viable for research purposes. It has no relation to this case. I see. So, we know that the bomb in the main building was on the second floor. Where was the bomb that was in launch pad 1 located? That one was on the rocket itself. It was situated around the central part of the rocket. Apparently, the area around the launch pad's elevator was a sea of flames. I would like to submit this diagram report into the record. Tries to start and we're already in a bind. You get used to it. Besides, that's what cross-examination is for, right? What the 2 astronauts were doing during the bombing. That would be the key. Just before the rocket was set to launch, 2 bombs went off. Boom! Boom!
Hold it!
How powerful were the explosions? Well, the one in the main building wasn't strong enough to bring the place down. But the room it went off in was burnt black. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Due in large part, of course, to me stepping up to lead the evacuation. Wait, what were you doing there in the first place, Detective Fulbright? I'm Bobby Fulbright, hero of justice. I'll be there whenever and whenever people need my help. I'll go to your side of the world or even the ends of the universe. I'm not sure he knows how far that actually is. I guess I'll leave that one alone. Admirable decision, Justice Stoner. What did he decide? Anyway, can you describe what it was like at the Space Center at the time? The bomb cut the power to the central bank of elevators and the 3rd floor lounge. It was pitch black in there, I tell you. However, the security cameras and whatnot were warning on emergency backup. And how did the evacuation go? I immediately and heroically whisked people down to the Space Center's basement shelter. The basement shelter? Yes, there's an emergency shelter beneath the Space Center. Emergency shelter, huh? Oh, here it is. It's at the bottom of the diagram. Space Center is pretty impressive to have its own shelter. Power outage and evacuation seem unrelated to the motor at this point. I guess I'll leave that aside for now. So there were 2 explosions in total, correct? Yep, that's right. One on the 2nd floor of the Space Center's main building, and one in launch pad number 1.
Hold it!
Let me get this straight. Mr. Starbuck rigged a rocket he was going to load with explosives. What are you talking about? And the defendant really did plant the bomb on his own rocket. He'd get caught in the explosion as well. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Fine. A simpleton for a simpleton. Fulbright. The motive. Understood. The defendant actually had astrophobia. Astrophobia? What's that? A fear of space, naturally. Just the thought of space can cause the afflicted to freeze up. And so in his terror, the defendant found a way to stop the launch at the last minute. That's absurd. Fortunately for you, we have evidence. So look at these. What are they? These anti-anxiety tablets were found among the defendant's possessions. Apparently, he was taking them in secret to quell his fears. There were a multitude of problems with the rocket. Mr. Starbuck wrote 7 years ago. From trauma has it. It's been sequestered a number of times as well. That was, of course, very traumatic for Mr. Starbuck.
Objection!
But that doesn't mean he'd go as far as to blow up his own spaceship.
Silence!
The defendant couldn't bear to mar his good name now, could he? No. Not after the media had branded him so. Starbuck Space Pioneer Extraordinaire. Given these conditions, the defendant could hardly run away like some base mutt. So that's why you think he was alert to the bombing? Naturally. He conflicted this act of sabotage in an attempt to blow up the Space Center, which would effectively abort the launch, but spare his reputation. Now I'm sure you understand why we have to bring justice down on this atrocious criminal. Thankfully, only the 2 astronauts were in Launchpad 1 at the time.
Hold it!
Are you sure it was only the 2 of them?
It was just before the spaceship was set to launch, so of course it was only those 2.
There could have been somebody else inside that rocket.
Silence!
The third party in Launchpad 1 is utterly absurd. Thus, enter the area from the lounge. One must pass through a door guard by a fingerprint recognition device. And allow me to state up front that there were previous few with the clearance to do so. A fingerprint recognition device. It sounds as futuristic and complex as a space center.
Actually, it's not as amazing as you think, Your Honor. Take a look at this photo. This is the door in the lounge with the fingerprint lock. Only personnel whose fingerprints are registered can pass through.
I see. It is very different from what I've had in mind. There's a record of the number of people that passed through that door yesterday.
Yes, there were only 3. The defendant, the victim, and the director of the Space Center, Yuri Cosmos.
And doesn't that mean it's possible that the director is the one who did it? Not a chance. He was in the main building when the bomb exploded at 9:28. Doing his job directing the launch. Besides having an alibi, he has no motive for committing these senseless acts. He has a point. Because the director can't be considered a suspect then.
The 2 of them managed to make it back as far as the boarding lounge.
Hold it!
So, while it would appear that the pair barely escaped their lives, and actually, one of them had already been murdered inside the rocket. That's the angle the prosecution wants to push, correct?
You got it. In fact, that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. If the victim had been alive, he would have for sure tried to stop the bombing.
Is there any chance Mr. Tam could have been killed before he boarded the rocket?
They were both alive and well at boarding time and embarked under their own power. Their hearts full of hope and dreams of space.
And both of their hopes and dreams were dashed.
Let me continue my explanation. After the evacuation order was given, the defendant made his escape, killing the victim to make it look like a rescue. But after the escape, one of the 2 was found stabbed to death.
Hold it!
And who was the first to find the victim?
Actually, there were 2 of them.
The Space Center Director, Yuri Cosmos, and Detective Candace me. One of them was a detective?
Detective Army specializes in bombings, you see. She and the director were ordering the evacuation following the explosions. They were also worried about the astronauts, so they hurried over to the boarding lounge. That's when they discovered the victim along with the defendant.
2 witnesses, huh? None of them is a detective. Without either one would have anything to say that would help me. I think this pretty much covers the details of the case. Only the victim and the defendant were on the launch pad when the former was killed. If this is the truth, then only Mr. Starbuck could have carried out this crime. What little I could get out of him only hurt my case. Justice Donna, Forrest is the warrior who rushes headlong into battle. Preparation is an essential element of battle, so I advise you take a gander at this. What is it? Footage from a security camera. As a true, I saw emerge from the bowels of the Launchpad 1 corridor. The burning loud security camera captured their desperate escape. Now I want to direct your attention to what the defendant is shouldering. What you can see is none other than the lifeless body of the victim. What? Order, I say. This lines up exactly with what the prosecution had been asserting. President Blackwell would have something like this ready. Apollo? How exactly did they determine that claim was already gone in that footage? I see what you mean. If the claim is still alive at this point is pretty crucial. Your Honor, please take another look at the footage. Is it possible that Mr. Terran was still alive here and that Mr. Starbuck was helping him? I believe you're right. One man carrying the other to safety. What a beautiful expression of friendship.
Silence!
Perhaps that's what it looks like to a one-eyed hothead and a donut. But it only makes sense if it's the victim's dead body. What do you mean? Explain it to Justice Dono.
You got it. Ready, kid? If the murderer had occurred in the lounge, someone could have spotted it. Anyone can enter the lounge after all. But doing it while they were alone in the spaceship, that's a horse of a different color.
Objection!
You can't deny that there's a possibility the murder could have happened in the lounge. All that video shows is a man helping his fellow astronaut out.
Silence!
This lesson is based on emotion. It's based on the belief that Mr. Starbuck would surely help his own disciple. But we have no logical explanation as to why the victim could still be alive. Unfortunately, Mr. Justice, the prosecution is right. Your argument is lacking in sound logic. But it sounded perfectly logical to me. Well, Mr. Justice, you have no further objections. I believe it's time to bring this cross-examination to a close. Objections? Well,
Hold it!
Your Honor, the defense requests a little time to think and regroup. Given the facts, I'm not sure I see the need. What is it, Athena? It's something that's been bothering me. If it isn't the defense stalling for time as always. Very well, I'm feeling generous. You may have a small measure of time. Yes! You have 5 seconds. 5 seconds! After that, I declare this cross-examination to be closed and a verdict to be rendered. Your boldness, raise your gavel high. It's time for a countdown. Oh! Ready? We don't have time. Spit it out, Athena! Only 3 more seconds. Look, I don't think the prosecution's explanation is very complete. Meaning there's something missing. Like, they conveniently left it unexplained. Something they didn't explain? Something they didn't explain? You're right. I think I know what you're talking about. Your 5 seconds are up, Mr. Justice. Is there anything about the prosecution's argument that you'd like to rebut? Yes, Your Honor! Actually, there is. There's something the prosecution has yet to make clear to this court. Well, if you put it that way, what is it that the prosecution has failed to explain?
They have failed to explain why Mr. Starbuck would bother bringing the body back at all. If the defendant wants to kill the victim, why didn't he just leave the body in the rocket? Why go through the trouble of bringing him all the way back to the boarding lounge? Oh, that's true. I don't think we've heard the prosecution's thoughts on that yet. That's because they have none, Your Honor. After all, I just want to explain something so illogical. The prosecution is claiming that the defendant moved the victim's dead body. But what if the entire premise of that argument is wrong? Then let's hear your theory, Mr. Justice. The defense proposes that the defendant didn't kill the victim. He was helping him.
Fulbright, explain it for our sad little friend here before I nod off to his monotone monologue. Inform me exactly why Space Boy moved the victim.
Huh? They've got to be joking.
It's simple. Mr. Starbuck did what he did to direct suspicion away from himself. He wants to create the impression he heroically risked his life to save his partner. That's why he made sure to make it to the security camera so there'd be a record. At the very least, he appears to have achieved success with you and the old man. One man carrying the other to safety. What a beautiful expression of friendship. The average person wearing a spacesuit weighs easily over 200 pounds. Saving the life of a partner who weighs as much while trying to escape deadly flames. What a dramatic stop story fit for the silver screen. Indeed, I was completely taken in by the humanity of the story. You see, yet the true ending is that all traces of his hammy act were meant to be blown up. Yes, and now we arrive at the thrilling conclusion. The third explosion.
Objection!
What are you talking about? There was no third explosion.
Silence!
Indeed, you are correct. That's thanks to Detective Army. It was she who identified and secured the bomb. But it doesn't change the fact that the third bomb was discovered in the lounge. There's still coffin besides the witness stand. That would be a bomb transport case. We used that to transport the deactivated bomb here. It was found in the lounge. A bomb in the form of the most distasteful toy. What? On the second floor of the main building. One on the launch pad and one in the lounge. The defendant planned to set off 3 firework displays. Fortunately, the third was discovered before it could be detonated. But had it not, the victim's body and other vital evidence would still have been immolated.
Objection!
For you are to award, know that the evidence supports me. It's like he's reading my mind. It is still undergoing forensic investigation. I do not have the evidence on hand. However, we know that a particular item was found in one of Mr. Starbuck's pockets. Specifically, a bomb detonation shreds.
Found what?
I suspect The defendant had no time to destroy such damning evidence. When the space director and Detective Army stumbled across the murder, so he thought to hide it in his pocket. Feeble brain that he is. No! Mr. Starbuck would never do anything like that! Ah! Justice Stoner, open your eyes and see the truth. This appears to be irrefutable evidence that the accused set off the explosions. No, there has to be some kind of mistake. This can't be the truth. Still can't accept it. You believe in your client, come what may. Then why don't you cross-examine the defendant himself? This has got to be a trap. It's like Black was controlling the entire game. Yeah, seems like he was waiting for me to bring up the body-moving issue. Why do you say that? Because he had just the right argument when I pointed it out. And to really rub it in, he had a decisive piece of evidence up his sleeve, too. He was trying to shake my faith in Mr. Starbuck and break me down. Then making you cross-examine Mr. Starbuck at this point was part of his plan, too? Totally underhanded, but I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Now let us hear from the arch-villain, the fiendish murderer himself. Famed astronaut Solomon Starbuck.